Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here's a quote just for this episode. What is to give light must endure burning. Viktor Frankl. Our guest today, someone special to me in the Culture Matters podcast. I actually met them in an incubator of spirit and leadership and development, this amazing executive workshop with one of our regulars on the Culture Matters podcast, the one and only Michael Alasso. And our guest has been impacting leadership, organizations, cultures, and people. Really, it seems to be their whole career. I had the pleasure of being impacted by them with their example actually at that workshop. And our guest today is not only the president and CEO of Hope Cancer Resources, but someone that and an organization that changes routines, relationships, identity, finance, and supports people in this very necessary time. Chuck's story is fascinating from operations and systems and working in organizations, working alongside legends like Don Soderquist, a COO of Walmart that really has impacted and influenced organizations throughout the country. But today, as CEO of Hope Cancer Resources, the work that Chuck does really obviously clearly changes lives. So thanks for coming on the Culture Matters podcast, my friend. It's an honor to call you that.
Yeah, Jay, thank you for having us. Thank you for telling the story of hope. But yeah, we got to meet back in September of 2025, I guess, at with our mutual friend Michael. And what a weekend that we had of immersion and getting to know each other and explore leadership and culture and all the things you talked about, right? So, real privilege to get to do this today.
Well, I have to ask, the CEO of Hope Cancer Resources, such important work, started in thinking in operations and or chemical engineering to actor on a stage monologue. So what I got, let's start at the very beginning. Like what, where does this come from? What kind of man are you?
Dude, that's gosh, that you want the whole podcast on that because we could go there. Listen,
I
hey,
love it.
I'm gonna tell a story. In fact, my wife and I were talking about this the other day to our son. As you know, we have a son who's about to enter the service, and one of the things a mentor of mine was in one of our advisory boards at Soderquist Leadership. Board members, he talked about the difference between putting together a puzzle or a mosaic. And most people approach their career, or I would say even their life, as a puzzle to figure out. Like, and when you put a puzzle together, the short version of this is you turn all the pieces over, you find all the edge pieces, and you put the frame around it, and then
Hmm.
you go looking for that one that every piece fits in an exact spot, right? And that's the way you do a puzzle. He thinks, and I agree with him, that in my career, to answer your question. Um, it's more like a mosaic. You start from the inside and you work your way out. And if you pick up a tile, you don't say, where does this fit? You decide where it fits. Or you decide if it doesn't fit at all, you leave it out. And you just keep placing tiles. And so Jay, I just faithfully placing tiles is all I've ever tried to do in my career, in my life. And I'm trying to, challenge my son this way and his friend that is we're having to send off like, hey, just keep placing tiles. And so yeah, I mean, from an engineering student, a chemical engineer. Did that for about a year and a half. But, worked Fortune 100 with Kimberly Clark and consumer products for 12 years. In 12 years, I had 11 different jobs, and only one of them was engineer.
Hmm.
And I just kept being presented opportunities to take on projects and to take on roles, and sometimes more than one role at once as the business needed. And so that early formative time in my life gave me an opportunity to experience a lot. I was thrown in the deep end a lot and kind of a figured out, moment. And that listen, I had a conversation last week with some of our team members like that informs how I function today just because I don't know another way.
Hmm.
But still, for 12 years, did Fortune 100. Then, to your point, got a tremendous opportunity to join the staff at Soderquist Leadership. As you mentioned, Don Soderquist was the COO at Walmart, retired senior vice chairman, one of the two guys at Sam Walton when he gave when he kind of turned the company over. David Glass and Don Soderquist were the two guys. He said, "Okay, guys, it's yours to run now." And so, having a view of that and what that looked like, and through his eyes and through his years there, certainly as it relates to culture and leadership, was also again very informative. We were a consulting group, so we got to then go in and see and study other organizations, and so I became a student of other people, and that was another 12 years of that. The next 7 years was running my own practice. We had developed a succession plan around that whole Soderquist leadership group, and I turned that over to a leader, and she ran that in a wonderful way. I ran private practice for a while and got to again just study and learn more and continue to add things to my experience box. It's like the old days when you put a sticker on your luggage. I just kept placing stickers on the luggage and learning things. And then a couple of years ago, got the opportunity to consider Hope Cancer Resources, and we do great work. Yeah, I'm president and CEO. I'm an operator at heart, and yeah, we're just at this point trying to meet people where they are in a often very trying and difficult circumstance. And how do we do that well? How do we match the needs, the growth of our region? It's one of the fastest growing regions in the country. How do we keep up with that and continue to do our work and do it well? So, in a nutshell, that's where I've come from. And yeah, it's been again, I guess in summary, an assimilation or just continuing to add pieces. There are things I'm good at. There's things I'm not good at, and I try to surround myself with people who are better at it than me,
Hmm.
so we can do the need and do the next thing. But this is a call for me at Hope, and if cancer has affected my family, as it's so many, I don't know someone who cancer hasn't affected in some way, right? Their friend, their coworker, their family member, themselves.
Hmm.
And so for us to get to do this work, this is what I'm about, and we got a great team that gets to do that.
That you mentioned, you may not know, or in our audience, people that cancer may have not affected. That makes me, and I agree with that. It makes me think in systems, actually.
Yeah.
Like, so were there early lessons when it came to learning systems and working in systems and operations that you would say still impact you today in the work that you do?
I think that consistency and like I think structure. I'm a big believer in freedom within a framework, right? That there's structure,
Hmm.
and structure allows you to have that consistency, right? But then there's when you need to exercise judgment as it relates to cancer, for example, Jay. My belief, my experience is that every story is unique, right? Everyone's personal, everyone's got a different deal. And there are, at the same time, common experiences that we can expect, and that's where empathy comes from. And so I think that that freedom within a framework mindset of like there is a way in which we do it. Like we're an EOS shop now. We've launched EOS in the last year, and so if you're an EOS, if you're familiar with that, our proven process, we have a proven process. The way EOS would suggest that you need a proven process. We did a study around Scott Wozniak's book, Make Your Brand Legendary, and is like, hey, here, and we actually reviewed them in our L10 today in our
Wow.
leadership team of our six operational fundamentals. And so there are definitely fundamentals, and there is definitely a proven process by which we operate. But I would say there are more principles that allow us to apply them into that unique story.
Hmm.
So that way, we're not just making it up. We're not, you know, oh, where does the Spirit move us today? No, there's a way in which we work, and that's necessary to give a standard of care that is consistent and excellent, but it also says, I see you. I know your name. I know your
Hmm.
circumstance, and here's how we're going to help you walk through this. And as we steward those lives and those stories, that's a big deal to us.
Why is it important to see people?
I think that one of our partners, actually in our region, they do it's the cancer support home, and among the things they provide is housing. Like if you're in the region and you live from far off and you need help with housing, for your medical treatment. One of the things that we learned from them was that they don't use the term patient
Hmm.
there because like everywhere they go, they're a patient. When they go there, they're one of our guests, right? So we borrowed from that, and
Hmm.
we effectively stopped using the word patient, right? And just like, hey, we've got individuals and families that are facing cancer or confronting cancer, and so I think that when we look at that, the personal, well, our uniques is that from the very first conversation, we want to know your name. From the very first conversation, we want to understand what your goals are. From the very first conversation, what your needs are, and then know people in that way. So one of our values of relationships is to build strong and trusted connections in the community. And that's so another provider like the Cancer Support Home or the oncology practice that we partner with here in the region, or any of the other people. We want to see Bill or Sally or Jose or like we want to know their names and their stories, and that matters to us.
Oh, when I was preparing, I want to make sure I'm following here is where a hospital might treat cancer like the disease or
Right.
ailment. Your organization is supporting all the other facets of someone's life that are impacted by it. That stood out to me.
Very much. Yeah, we don't have any physicians on staff. We don't have any nurses on staff. We have them on our board, but not on staff. That's not what
Yeah.
we do. And so, yeah, we partner on all the adjacents. And so, because cancer is first and foremost a physical, like it's a disease in our bodies, right?
Yeah.
Access, we there's what's the physical component for us? Well, access to care is a big one. So one of the biggest things we do is we transport people to their oncology appointments or any cancer related appointment they might have. And so we have a fleet of 9 vans, and we drive almost 30,000 miles a month all over the region. 8 of those vans are in every day. We always have one in reserve just in case, and we transport roughly 25 people every day. They're driving right now, and so access to care, because most of the people that we transport, they don't have another way to get their appointment, and we know that
Wow.
outcomes are impacted negatively when you miss an appointment or an appointment is delayed.
Outcomes as in people's
Their
health.
their physical outcome, their ability to respond to the treatment they're receiving from the oncologist, that
Mm.
is impact. So we partner in
Wow.
in their physical journey by getting them to their appointment. Another way we do physically is we have a wellness center that has weights and cable machines and aerobic equipment and room to do yoga. And so we have a staffed we staff that with personal trainers, certified trainers, who help you in treatment or after treatment have your body get stronger, and outcomes continue to show from research some other people do right, that we're not a research facility, but we can positively impact their outcomes because of the physical and mental and emotional um, impact that a
Mm.
workout can do. And so we have personal trainers doing one-on-one personalized training plans to help with that physical need. And then I would say the other thing with physical is we help with prescription assistance, right? Cost so costly, and it's very hard to get what you need, and so it's equipment or prescriptions that they need for. So that's how we surround that oncology practice with supporting functions to help their treatment outcomes be more beneficial and be more efficacious. Um,
How are families, the families of people that are confronted with this reality, where do they fall in, or where are
Yeah, they
they
100%.
influenced, or how,
Yeah, because
yeah,
everything I've described so far is the person that has received that diagnosis. Well, now then there's again, you think of concentric circles. Well, now you've got the caregivers, right? Their families, the spouse, the children, the parents, and so one of the things that we do in that space is counseling and support groups. And so, if you're whether you're the person with a diagnosis or you're their loved one, we
Hmm.
actually do counseling and support groups and offer that individually. You can do family counseling, and then again, the support groups are generally, like populations. And so there's a men's support group, there's a women under 50 support group, there's a Spanish speaking support group, and so forth, right? And so the family members are also able then to, we work with them as well. And so, I mean, I will tell you, there's a young man that is in our office weekly, and he's getting counseled by one of our licensed, counselors, therapists, social workers that do this. And and in his case, well, it could be, hey, my loved one has a diagnosis, and I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Like I'm 10, or I'm 6, or I'm 12, I'm 18. That's a lot for anybody to handle. And so we want to provide, so after then the physical support, then there's the emotional support that we have capacity to help with as well, because the amount of anxiety, potential, the depression, the just uncertainty. Am I going to be able to do what I used to do ever again? That ability to come around people is super important as well.
What happens when someone's diagnosed with like cancer? Like how does that actually impact their entire ecosystem, I guess? Because it seems to me like you guys have
That's a
figured
good
out
word.
how to approach that in a holistic, systemic,
Yeah,
solvable way. Like I read on the emotional, fiscal, physical,
yeah.
communal.
Well, I like your word ecosystem, right? Their environment, everything. Like, and I will say this too. We can come back to survivorship maybe later, but like once that comes, like, the people that we see routinely say, I'm never the person I was before the diagnosis. Even if I go through treatment and I'm declared that, hey, there's no evidence of cancer in my body, and I get to ring the bell and all the things, like I'm never that person again. And that's one of the things that I've learned since working at Hope is that a lot of the world it goes, oh, you're cancer free. Like, well, you can go back to no, like that's just not how it works. And so it is their ecosystem. And so, yes, it's the physical part, it's their emotional part. Very practically, can I go to work? How much can I work? When can I start to work again? What does that look like? Is my loved one going to miss work because they've got to get me to my appointment? And so now think about how much work factors into our lives. And not just your daily routine. Let's think about your ability to earn, right? And when so there can be a measure of financial toxicity that comes not only from medical bills, prescriptions, but it's if I'm not able to work, if I'm on any form of disability, or I'm just not able to work the hours and draw a paycheck, or whatever my situation is, or does somebody have to go back to work in order to keep the household running, right? So there's a
Mm.
financial system, and am I going to be able to, are we going to be able to keep our home? Are we going to be, so like it gets super practical really quickly. The things that, are you strong enough to attend your children's sports, event or program at school, or whatever the case may be. So it is your ecosystem very quickly. Can I still, be involved in my church, and can I get to my community group? So your entire everyone that I know would say that there's not a part of my life it doesn't touch.
That's why I want to go bring this to life for the audience in a sense. Because when I was researching the organization, it's like we might get there are people that survive cancer, but the question is, what are the consequences to their entire life? It seems like it becomes a conversation about identity and community, and
Without it, yeah,
like if
people
you can
find
unpack that a
that
bit.
It does happen because again, we can wrap our identities around a lot of things, our careers, our status, our networks, our whoever, right? And so when that gets challenged, for sure. And so I remember a woman that we interviewed, and she was great enough to tell her story. You know, I wouldn't say it was her identity, but one of the things that was important to her was her health and her fitness. She ran half marathons routinely, was out running with her dogs all the time. And like, can I get back to that? Like I want to, that was
Hmm.
normal. So whatever, again, I know I'm never that person again, but there are things that I used to do that I derived joy from or satisfaction from, or I got to be involved in relationships. Can I get back to that? And so that's a big part of that. I think that when you get into other parts of life, there's a concept, a word that I heard about a month ago, as well, actually from one of our folks on our podcast, scanxiety.
Hmm.
I didn't know that was a thing. But so okay, so I'm in survivorship now, and I got to ring the bell. That's great. But what if it comes back? I mean, I've got an appointment in however long, right? And what's that scan going to show? And all of that, people
Oh man.
report that they begin to relive some of those emotions, right? And fears and things like that, and uncertainties that come along with it. So that's a real thing as well.
Like some type of post-traumatic stress
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I think
post-survivorship.
because I think in survivorship, and then, again, I'm not a cancer survivor, so I can't speak to this firsthand. The only thing that I would challenge, because like I think post-traumatic stress, I think the word post might be like it's still there. Like it's really not post. It's post my diagnosis and post active
Yeah.
treatment, but it's very much current for
You
many.
mean in the sense that when someone faces this, this is now the track that their life is on. The question is, who are their partners? How do their families relate to it? How do they move forward? And you help with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so now again, so
Wow.
there is one of the things that we talk about, again, go back to um,
Wow.
our the way in which we work is there can be an off ramp to maintenance, whether that be again support groups. I tell you, like our yoga classes, for example, we have a lot of survivors that just come to yoga, and I promise you that those yoga classes, it's a form of support group. Yes, they're in there, they're working on strength, they're working on flexibility, maybe mindfulness, whatever, but that is community to them. And so
Hmm.
that might be part of the off ramp for them. So they're not in active treatment anymore. They may or may not be active in counseling, but that's one of the things. Or they can be involved with us. We have a number of, it's not a big number, but there are people who volunteer for us who have been cancer. So they're in survivorship, and we might have helped them, and they want to pay it forward in a way by volunteering for us. We have a couple folks who volunteer because they lost a loved one. Um, some of our most faithful volunteers is like, this is how I honor my loved one is by staying involved. And so that off ramp or whatever involvement post treatment has for them, we do have people who want to stay engaged because that, again, that's part of their story forever.
Compassion is one of your core values.
Yes.
Why that word and how 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 do you operationalize that to serve the people? I won't use the word patient.
Yeah, I think, we think about, we define that as, serving people with heartfelt care, honoring their journey. And I think that word of honoring their journey
Hmm.
is a key phrase for us in that definition. Empathy and understanding. And so, like, again, it's understanding. We want to honor your journey by not some sort of white labeled here approach. This is the thing you're going to do. So hearing their story, like our director of transportation often will say that their drivers might be the only person that person talks to in that day, other than their provider. But like they may live alone, and so the windshield time we get with that person our drivers begin to know them. And I will do a ride along about every 6 months because that's an appropriate place that I can go in and I can be in the van and the banter. Sometimes I mean, they're digging each other with jabs and just, laughing and that sort of thing. And then sometimes the person's so tired or so weak post treat, like they just want to sleep. They just want to get high. And so honoring that, how is that patient doing today? And so our drivers get to do that every single day because we'll transport someone up to 60 miles from their point of treatment. Well, that can be a lot of windshield time, right? And then if in some cases we're transporting someone every day for 2 weeks straight. And so hello, Mrs. Smith, good to see you again. And so like seeing that person, we're not shuttling cargo. That's not, we are a logistics company, but we are getting people to care.
Hmm.
And we are caring for them while they're with us. Even our wellness manager, she was interesting. She said that because she's there primarily to do a workout plan. Hey, let's think about, hey, okay, maybe you've had a mastectomy and you've lost some strength in your upper body and your chest, and we're gonna get that strong. That's what her job is. But one of the things that we did in our recently was we brought in some experts in secondary stress and secondary trauma and vicarious trauma
Hmm.
because our staff can experience that because of who we serve and just through the people that we serve. And one of the things that our wellness manager said was, "I'm surprised at some of the things that a patient will reveal or share with me." And it's just because, and she handles it well. She knows how to handle it, but she, her professional training is in nutrition and in personal training, getting stronger. That's what her certifications involve those things. But when that person wants to open up and talk about something else, now it's just human to human. And all she's being is human. And I think that has a lot to do with that compassion value when we're with people.
That's I want to unpack that because if I understand, like, let's go back to from what I understand, maybe someone you could explain it better than me, but if I think Walmart is where you buy goods and services, but it seems like there was an element of steward leadership,
Without a doubt.
or operationalizing core values, or architecting the human spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you just
Our
take Walmart,
audience,
for
right? This is
example,
the Culture Matters podcast. It's like how
yeah.
these terms, like what actually makes that real? Like you're the guy. Like this is the master class. Like clearly somebody, right, going to an appointment that feels like a person. But how do you actually sell that to our audience so we can take some of these principles into our lives every day, whatever we sell, whatever we do?
Well, I think you're right. So like if you take Walmart for example, the world's I don't know between Amazon and them anymore, but they built themselves from this little five and dime in Bentonville, Arkansas. You can go visit it on the square, the original spot. It's very cool. But uh and you look at that new campus and what they've done and where they are globally and to one of the largest companies in the world. And so they sell toothpaste and shampoo and toilet paper and furniture and groceries and like how does that happen? And so yeah, I got the real privilege of being around Don Soderquist for a while. And so what I heard Don say over and over again was, and he always talked about the three basic beliefs. And it was interesting, out of curiosity, thinking this might come up today, I Googled just Walmart three basic beliefs. Well, you know, they're service to the customer, respect for the individual, and striving for excellence.
Wow.
Now, there's a whole story about how they come up with that I won't, we can maybe save for another day. But Don Soderquist was the guy who came and said, hey, Sam, I think we need to do something around here. And Sam was like, okay, let's do it. And so Don and Sam, did some benchmarking on other companies that were doing that. And this was back in the 80s, 70s, 80s when this was happening. And that became core to who Walmart is. But so, like, if you're thinking, well, if we think service to our customer, how do they, I mean, there's Don had an old story. It's called the frying pan story, the skillet story, and it was basically this guy. He brought a skillet back with no receipt, no whatever, and he had no. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm messing this up, but this is this good. He gets home and realizes he forgot the skillet, like it was in the cart or something, and he's like, yeah, I bought the skillet, and he calls back and said, hey, did somebody return my skillet? And the store manager says, hey, just come back, we'll figure it out. And it's like, hey, no one's turned in the skillet, but can let's go over here to the skillet section and tell me, show me what. He's like, it was this one right here, and the manager reaches and gives it to him, and he says, what? What? Well, just for free. Like, yeah. He's like, but you have no proof that I did this. He said, you're more important to us than this skillet.
Wow.
Right. And so if a store manager has the autonomy and the understanding of what it means to serve the customer, that's what we're going to, so we make a decision in the moment. So I think that for us, we've been trying to think about, and I think for anybody listening, what culture, you've got to take them and we say, get them off the wall. I mean, it's good that they're on the wall, get them on, but they have to operationalize themselves. They have to manifest themselves into a human moment with a store manager and a customer
Mm,
in an aisle in a retail store that says, you're more important to us than a skillet. It has to manifest itself into a training session talking about anything other than training. It has to manifest itself in that way. Our, professionalism, excellence, is one of our values, and so like we, the way in which we care for our facility matters, right? It needs to be welcome. It needs to be inviting. Our lobby needed a makeover because it just wasn't that inviting. So here's the thing. Here's a great story. Our front desk person, receptionist, she does front desk and greets everybody that comes in for services. She also runs our volunteer program. She noticed that there were some that would not sit down in the chairs in our lobby.
wow.
And it's because they didn't have armrests and they weren't strong enough to get out of a chair if it didn't have an armrest. And so we're like, well, gosh, we can fix that. She's like, Chuck, we got to get new chairs. Yeah, because our value of compassion, our value of professionalism says we should have a lobby that's conducive to that, and so, you know, uh, and how we steward that, like, and so when we redid our lobby, we had relationships, another one of our values, of an interior decorator and a construction company who came and redid the lobby pro bono because they wanted to serve people.
Mm,
They wanted to serve us. And so we have a very it's very nice. It's not over the top, but it's comfortable. It's now well lit. It's well furnished now, and it just it's conveying dignity to those people that come in there. And so whether it's your lobby furniture or a skillet or whatever it is you're doing, getting that from we're going to codify this and be super intentional about it, and then we're going to look for ways to put it in action. That is your culture. And then whether you formally adopted anything or not, you have one, right? I think we can agree on
mm.
that. But I've been studying this long enough, really starting at my time at Soderquist. I guess that was back in 2005 when I started. So the last 20 plus years. Um, how does it actually live and breathe? We used to use the term time and space. It happens in time and space. Culture happens in time and space, and you've got to find ways to express that.
A takeaway from this is like a theme. You're paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be
It's a resource.
attentiveness.
You pay attention to the people that you serve to see
Yeah.
the armrest, or if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think there's an intention. I use the word intentionality a lot, and with our team, and even with our own internal days. We just did a big
Like,
week of
why am I doing
appreciation.
this?
Why am I like let's like well, don't just show up, but like let's be intentional about what we're doing and why. And I like your word attentiveness, particularly in our situation, we are a service. We are a service. We provide services. Now we provide them. We're a nonprofit. We provide them at no cost to the patient or the family that we're serving. But we're still in the service industry. And so there's an attentiveness. You may, one of the hot books out here in recent months is Unreasonable Hospitality,
Yeah, David.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so great book, great read. And listen, I'm not your five-star restaurant guy. I'm just give me a bib and some barbecue. I'm good, right? But when I read that book, I mean, I listened to it first, bought it, and marked it up second. And there were 16 tabs in that book that I tabbed. That's okay. If I read that book with Hope Cancer Resources through that lens, it's whether it's five-star world-class dining in New York City or service, serving people walking with cancer in Northwest Arkansas, the principles transcend. And so then it's about that intentionality, the same types of attentiveness. If I'm trying to really care for a guest at a restaurant, is the same attentiveness I need to give to the people we're serving. And I would also say the same level of attentiveness within the people on our team. And so recently, I was challenged. And listen, one of my like I go pretty hard. I mean, I really do. And I go pretty hard. And so um, my team spoke into me and was like, "Hey, we're doing a lot right now. Like we're it's overwhelming. We were going too hard, too fast for too long of a time." And they needed to be able to speak into me. And I had lost attentiveness, I think to use your word, in that moment. And I needed to, okay, I hear you. What can we defer? What can we pull off for now? What are the musts that we've got to, continue to work on? Um, so I think attentiveness in culture, even to your team. And fortunately, I have truth tellers, and one of my leadership philosophies is having truth tellers around me is absolutely essential because
Mm.
I would have missed it, and I needed those people that I trusted speaking into me to hear them in a way to go, okay, I hear you. Let's make a change. Let's make it. Let's adjust so that we're caring for our people well in that regard. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're, but like at all three
Super
levels, I
powerful.
think it matters.
It comes across as you're paying attention to all the things that matter that may not get attention, so the person that's going through this battle can pay attention and getting better.
Yes, yes. And again, and I will say this, if I know I know I need help in that. Like if it's up to me, I will miss it. And that's not an excuse. I'm not trying to cop out. It's not necessarily a strong suit of mine, but giving people the permission, expectation, whatever you want to call it, and hearing them, like I've got more, it's not just me. Like all of our leaders need to be attentive. We all need to have our sensitivities up because we'll pick up on things and be able to have a culture that speaks into that and says, you may not notice this, but I do. I have a question or a concern. Let's talk about it.
How do you create that culture of truth tellers on your team?
That's a good question. It starts with who you hire. For sure. Now, again, I walked in, I was the successor CEO, right? So I didn't, most of the people on my team, I didn't hire. So I think for me coming in, I think, it sounds canned to say establishing trust, but I think it's do I hear you? Do I demonstrate a willingness to listen and change? If it would only be words, right? If I was like, okay, tell me what you think, and then I ignore it and don't act on it. And so now we've learned how to disagree. Um, we've one of the things I picked up on years ago. One of my favorite leadership books again is Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. And one of the
Mm,
things I picked up, and I will tell you, and this is one of the best advice, pieces of advice, but and it's language I use, is the difference between a hard opinion and a soft opinion. So if one of my team asks me a question and they just want my input, they want to know what I think, it's important that it deserves an honest answer, right? Now, I have to be careful that sometimes, because they may have work history somewhere else that whatever the leader says goes.
mm.
And so there's times when a question could come with, I'm asking you for your input. What I'm really asking you is to make my decision for me. So part of that is I want to, push that back. No, it's your decision. You have decision rights. If you're asking me for my input into your decision, then I'm going to give you my input. And if it's a soft opinion, you know, I'll give you, hey, it's a soft opinion. You ask for my opinion, but which means you decide, I don't have now a hard opinion is, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's across a line of culture or ethics or whatever, or like that's just against the strategy. Like we're not going to go do that. Here's why, right? And again, I need to reserve that at times as president and CEO. So I've got to be able to do that. And so I think to earn that, to your original question, it's taken time and repetition and data set, giving people more data set to know they can trust that. And the people that get a lot of contact with me because of the nature of their jobs, they get that pretty quickly. We're pushing 46, 47 people on our staff right now,
Mm.
and they don't all have equal access to me. A good number of our staff is distributed into the field. So our drivers are clearly they're out driving every day. The social workers that we staff in the oncology clinics in our region, they're in the clinics every day. And then there's just people that are moving about. So not everybody gets the same data set with me.
How has leadership humbled you over time?
Oh gosh. Every time I'm wrong, I don't like, listen, my ego's big. I don't like being wrong. And my team will tell you I don't like being wrong. Um, I think, but let me give you a better answer. When I see someone using their gifting in ways that allows them to flourish as a professional and serve other people, like there's not a lot better than that. Like I would say so, like our fundraising team and marketing team, they're really good at what they do. They're very good at what they do, and they're way better at it than I am. And so to watch them do our social work team, our wellness team, our transportation team, all these functions, to watch them and it humbles me in a way, in a healthy way, to say we have to be a body of many parts. And in scripture, it talks about, the hand can't say to the foot, I don't need you. And the eye can't say to the ear, I don't need you. For us to function, we have to be an integrated unit. And so I can only do so much as president and CEO. Now I've got my set of responsibilities. I'm accountable to a lot of things, to my team, to my board, to our donors. There's a lot of things that I'm accountable to. But to recognize that someone else does that better than me, someone I've got to count on them to that recognizing my own limitation, it actually produces I think a more healthy humility that says I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want you to be better at your job than I could ever be at your job. And to watch that, and then you begin, I think in one other dimension of what's humbling is the burden of responsibility that we carry to do our jobs well. In our all staff meeting a couple weeks ago, one of the things when we were rolling out EOS to everybody, and we're talking, why are we doing this? And the slide I put up, we have it's actually on our website. So if you saw, would have seen some of the black and white photos of just people.
Mm.
That's a project that was done a few years ago. It's called Faces of Hope, and they're just people that we've served, just everyday people. Some of them are staff members, some of them are board members, but they all were served by Hope Cancer Research because they had a cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
And so I put a slide up there with some of those photographs with the caption that said our work because our work is too important to leave anything on the table. That's humbling. When I think about my family members or people close, I've got a very close friend right now. He had surgery yesterday. Got a text this morning about some of the post his kind of recovery and kind of how it's going. And so for that friend, like that's to say to okay, we get to intersect that people like you better believe our work matters. I mean, I'm getting fired up right now just talking because though for those people, we've got to do it well. It's too important for us to leave anything on the table. And so to release talent on our team, to authorize, to delegate authority, decision rights, whatever that is, there's a framework by which we do it. You have freedom to function within it. You have the expectation to exercise judgment
Hmm.
within the boundaries of our values, within the boundaries of our charter, our mission, because we can't do everything to everybody, but we dilute ourselves. But when you can now do that and go, okay, we're doing that because somebody is on their way to an appointment today. Somebody is waiting for their next scan. Somebody is struggling with their nutrition. Um, that part and to know that we've got to be able to do this and grow it and sustain it, extraordinarily humbling to know that, okay, I've got a role, but man, we've got a lot of people that's got to work. The body has to function fully.
Can people support Hope Cancer Resources from the website? Like, is that a call to action
Yeah.
you can give?
Yeah. I mean, there's
I,
lots
I
of,
would
so
like to ask them to do that today.
that's very kind of you, Jay. No, one of the things that we learned from a like organization in Indianapolis, actually, and it's on our homepage, there's two buttons that I need help or I want to help. And we want to be able to have navigate both ways. Certainly, we're a nonprofit, and so we function on donations of dollars of in-kind resources. And so there's a way to give. There's a way to support some of our campaigns and things we do. You can designate gifts if there's something if mental health is important to you, you can designate funds to that. If it's transportation and access to care, you can do that. The other thing that I would promote that's super easy, and if people like really practical things, there's a shopping list that you can get that says so we have a care closet that's stocked with items that are high cost, high turn, and sometimes hard to get. And we stock a care closet of very specific items that a cancer, someone dealing with cancer needs. And you can purchase those items through either Walmart or Amazon's website, and they will ship them right to us. And they'll go in that care closet, and our job is to get those into the hands of the people that need them. So lots of different ways, but yeah, that should be easy and be very
I'm
humble.
challenging the audience to do it. We're dedicating this episode today to a regular guest of the show, Kevin Delory, client of Culture Matters. Before he was diagnosed, while he was diagnosed, if you listen to the show and you type in Kevin Delory, you're gonna see a half dozen plus episodes with Kevin on the show. And after we lost him, there's a tribute. So if you listen to the show, listen to Kevin's episode, give to Hope Cancer Resources, and this matters for the Culture Matters podcast. We've lost a couple guests over the years, regulars, and one of our co-hosts, actually, Andrew Berman, is fighting the good fight now. I'm sending him this episode, and people that listen to the show, they've heard him. He's on here. He actually has been on the show 39 times, the most frequent guest. So, Chuck, there you go. That's the marker. Let's get you back to 30, 37 to get you up there with Andrew. I'd love to have you back on the show. But yeah, one of our co-hosts is fighting the fight today. And I want to dedicate this to Kevin Delory and Andrew Berman. Chuck, what the work you do really is amazing. I love I'm inspired by the systemic approach and the servant leadership that you bring to all these people's lives. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I hope this will be the first time, not the last.
Thank you, Jay. Listen, hey, we're turning 17 this year, which means we're just kind of hitting our stride, right? And we've got to be able to continue to do this. And we've done it for a long time, well before it started, well before me. But it's for Kevin's and it's for Andrew's and it's for Daniel's and it's for all the other people in our lives that are doing have done that and are doing it. And I told our team the other day, Jay, this. It's like there are people that we don't know their names yet. We haven't met them yet. We just know they're coming, and we've got to be in position to serve them when they do. And so, for any of your listeners that want to get involved with us, well, that would be very so kind.
So powerful. I want to. It seems like when that happens to someone, they might lose their name and become patient. You give it back to them. I think that really matters.
Man, that's that we I hope that's the heart of who we are, and we just want to do it well and steward that opportunity well for your folks. And Jay, and that's the thing I would say this, you tell me what you need. Oh man, your heart for people, and I got to see that, live that with you over a weekend in person. But the contact we've kept over time, that's the one thing about you that continues to shine is your heart for people. And so to take time out and to insert this into what you're doing, I take that seriously and very grateful for that. And yeah, let's keep working on it.
If you're listening to this episode, please get involved. It's hope cancerresources.com, correct? Chuck
.org, yeah, .org.
dot org. The hope cancerresources.org. Chuck Hyde, thanks so much for coming to the Culture Matters podcast. And just plug you have a podcast as well. Just where can they
Yeah.
subscribe to that?
It's called Hope Unscripted, and it's on the most of the spots you can find podcasts. You can access it through our website, so there is a button that you can get to it from there. But like I listen to it on Spotify, just but Apple Podcasts, wherever they're out there. But yeah, we drop an episode every other week. And the content of that is, again, a resource for people who want to know more. And so the one that we did most recently was a dermatologist and
Hmm.
was talking about sun safety and skin cancer and the kinds of things we can do there to prevent and get early detection. The one that's going to drop tomorrow, Wednesday, again, but it is a person that is talking about what can a workplace do when one of its employees
Wow.
gets cancer. That's the focus of it. And because she has a story there, right? And she's a long
Wow.
friend of mine, and she talks about here's all the support I received, and that whole idea of returning to work. Can I work? What's work look like? And what can employers do to help people that are in that journey? So that's the kind of stuff we're covering in our podcast. We'd love for people to check it out.
Hmm. I can't. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that today, tomorrow. Chuck, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you're listening to this, please um, go check out the website, and we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Jay.